I remember one time walking in the studio, Bleak Beans, everybody was in there, and I was like, man, I'm telling you, man, y'all got a chance right now, just flood it, put out a lot of music, because 50 Cent is coming. And 4 months later, in the club hit, and it was over. Right. It was just like, okay, now everybody got to sit on the sidelines and wait this tight to wave out.
There's a huge difference in energy internationally in 50 Cent and Jay-Z. In fact, his largest selling record sold 430-something thousand copies. My largest selling records sold 5 million. Let them be fooled in America and think there's a competition there. Because America can be purchased. You can buy it with marketing dollars. You see what I'm saying? But the rest of the world, there's not enough marketing dollars to go around.
That's why I made a statement about Taylor Swift. I wish he would come take one of my awards so I could black his eye in front of everybody. And Jay disagrees.
I want everyone to be clear. No one's scared of 50 Cent.
Does that bother you? Does it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me. It's just his choice.
Why would you have to make that clear when no one's ever asked me if I'm afraid of Jay-Z?
The public is responding to his punk presentation. It's not 50 Cent. I don't have a problem with him. Kanye would not take a trophy from me. Neither Jay-Z.
Right.
Neither one of them.
What would you have?
No, we'd have had all.
What if I told you Jay-Z's billion-dollar empire wasn't built on talent alone, but on secret contracts, backdoor deals, and a marriage that some say was more business than love? Today, we're exposing the truths 50 Cent claims the industry is too scared to say out loud. Jay-Z's once untouchable image is facing heavy fire. And leading the charge is none other than 50 Cent. Rumors of infidelity, quiet legal agreements tied to Beyoncé, grooming allegations, and calculated sabotage are no longer whispers, they're being dragged into the spotlight. For decades, Jay-Z has been positioned as the music mogul who couldn't be touched, the man orchestrating the culture from the top. But insiders now claim his power wasn't used to elevate the game, it was used to control it, keeping artists boxed in with veiled threats, hidden contracts, and industry roadblocks. Now, 50 Cent is pulling back the curtain, revealing just how far Jay-Z's influence really stretched. Their feud isn't a new spark, it's a fire that's been burning for years. The tension goes back to the late 90s, when 50 dropped How to Rob and dared to call Jay-Z a fraud. That line wasn't just a diss track, it was an early warning shot. Even then, 50 claimed to see through Jay-Z's polished persona. To him, Jay wasn't a warrior in the culture, he was the gatekeeper of it, someone who relied on control, not confrontation.
Bigger than Jay-Z. You couldn't sell more records than Jay-Z. But all you had to do was listen to Benny Siegel, and Benny Siegel was, oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah, he said that. That was the first of me actually hearing it. Like, oh shit. Like, I used to have questions like, why every time my album dropped, Jay would drop right on top. He wouldn't let me breathe or right before me. Like, I was always close, and I always thought like, damn, if a kid, back then it was physical copies. So if you had $20, $20 that you saved up and you was gonna buy an album, and it's under the same house, Rockefeller, between Jay and Beanie Siegel, 9 times out of 10 you won't buy the Jay-Z album. I never understood that every single album that I dropped, Jay dropped right on time. It was like, damn, like to have in-house competition at that magnitude was crazy. Jay already the boss, but I always thought that, like, let me breathe. But to maliciously plot to hold me back, I don't know, man. I don't believe that. I don't want to believe that. I mean, but like I said,
Jay-Z's influence wasn't always flexed on the mic, it was often exercised in boardrooms and back channels. Instead of squaring up lyrically, he leaned on connections to close doors for his rivals. And history suggests 50 Cent wasn't exaggerating. Take the case of Nas. Rather than relying strictly on lyrical warfare, Jay allegedly pulled strings across the industry to stunt Nas's rise, even timing releases to clash with his projects. That same strategy was reportedly aimed at 50 himself. Just before Get Rich or Die Trying dropped a debut that would change hip-hop forever, Jay tried to flood the market. Hoping to smother 50's momentum, he failed, But the move revealed how threatened he really felt. It wasn't only giants like Nas or 50 who faced that treatment. Even Jay's own camp wasn't immune. Beanie Sigel, once one of Roc-A-Fella's most loyal soldiers, found his career stalled when Jay allegedly scheduled his own projects to undercut Beanie's spotlight. Imagine your mentor releasing music not to lift you up, but to keep you buried in his shadow. In Jay's world, loyalty seemed negotiable, especially when the spotlight was at stake. The reach of that mindset stretched beyond album rollouts and into the biggest stage in music, the Super Bowl. Insiders claim Jay-Z moved behind the curtain to block 50 Cent from performing altogether. The only reason 50 made it back onto that stage was because Eminem intervened, demanding his brother-in-arms be included. That single gesture highlighted the difference. While Jay was allegedly gay, 50's circle stood on loyalty.
20, y'all. Yeah. And it's different than when it was 2016. You know, the game has been elevated. As we can tell, there's no expense being spared. We had a black billionaire's lunch. You understand? Right. And we here together, and we gonna keep staying together. We getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing else to us. Black excellence.
The new lawsuit coming with Jay, the part with Jay. I go, oh shoot, like
to us. Black excellence.
That had to be there.
So we getting tighter. You know what I'm saying? And united we stand. And ain't nothing else.
Black excellence, they're sitting there like, yeah. It's the billionaire brunch.
Oh,
Like,
I hate you, man.
unaware of anything going on here. This is the one time I'm gonna be with you this year. Come on, bro.
For all his success, 50 Cent's legacy isn't just measured in chart-topping hits or business wins, it's in how he treats the people around him. As Tony Yayo once put it, 50's greatness comes not only from his music, but from his accessibility. He remains grounded, approachable, and consistently supportive of fellow black artists. Where others have been accused of shutting doors, 50 built a reputation for holding them open, and that's the defining contrast. Because when you really study the landscape of hip-hop, it's impossible not to notice the divide between moguls like Jay-Z and Diddy, who've been accused of building fortresses around themselves, and 50 Cent, who's done the opposite. He's always been the kind of artist who brings others with him. Look at G-Unit. When 50 blew up, he didn't go solo and forget his roots. He signed Lloyd Banks, Tony Yayo, and Young Buck, giving them massive exposure at a time when the industry often abandoned group members once the star broke out. He shared the spotlight, and in doing so, he turned his crew into household names. And it wasn't just G-Unit. Over the years, 50 has collaborated with countless artists who otherwise might not have gotten the shine. He's worked with rising talents, lent his platform to smaller acts, and consistently amplified voices that weren't being heard by the mainstream. That's not an accident, it's a philosophy. For 50, success means little if it isn't shared down. Compare that to the way Jay-Z and Diddy have been portrayed. Both men are undeniably talented and wildly successful, but the criticisms against them center on gatekeeping. Artists have accused them of hoarding opportunities, shutting doors, and only supporting those who serve their personal empire. The whispers are always the same, that if you weren't willing to play their game, you had no shot at breaking through. Careers stalled, albums shelved, voices silenced. Whether those accusations are fully true or exaggerated doesn't even matter. Perception is there, and perception, in the court of public opinion, often outweighs facts. 50 Cent, on the other hand, thrives on perception. He understands how people view him, and he leans into it. To fans, he's the underdog who never stopped swinging, the survivor of 9 bullets who turned pain into power. He didn't climb the ladder and then kick it away, he left it standing for others to climb too. And that accessibility Yayo talked about. It's not just about taking pictures with fans or posting on social media. It's about presence. It's about staying connected to the streets that made him. Never pretending he's above the people who put him on. That's why 50's word carries weight in the industry. When he speaks, it doesn't feel like another billionaire lecturing from a glass tower. It feels like one of us, someone who fought his way out of the same trenches, pointing out the truth nobody else dares to say. So when he calls out Jay-Z and Diddy, people listen not just because of the allegations, but because 50 has never been afraid to risk it all by speaking up. He isn't tied to their networks. He doesn't need their approval. And unlike many others in the industry, he doesn't fear being BLACKBALLED. Think about how rare that is. The entertainment world runs on silence. From Hollywood to hip-hop, the unspoken rule is simple: don't cross the powerful. Careers are ruined by whispers, opportunities vanish overnight, and the biggest names know exactly how to keep people quiet. But 50 breaks that code, again and again. He's the man who will clown Jay-Z for copying Basquiat's look. He's the man who will say out loud what others only whisper behind closed doors. And he's the man who, when asked if he's afraid of retaliation, simply shrugs. Fear doesn't exist in his vocabulary. But here's the part that often gets overlooked. 50 Cent doesn't just call out others, he leads by example. His empire isn't just built on music. He's a mogul in television, film, and business. Power and its spin-offs created opportunities for dozens of black actors, directors, and writers who might not have otherwise gotten that platform. He didn't just star in the show, he built an entire universe, and in doing so, he opened doors for others to shine. His liquor brands, his boxing promotions, his investments, every lane he enters, he brings others along with him. That's why so many in the community respect him, not because he's perfect. 50 is controversial, he's messy, he trolls people online, but because beneath the antics, there's substance. He's someone who built from nothing, made it out of the darkest circumstances, and then refused to pull the ladder up behind him. That's the difference between 50 and the moguls he criticizes. For Jay and Diddy, the empire always seemed to come first. For 50, it's the people. And maybe that's why his feud with Jay-Z hit so hard. This isn't just two rappers throwing jabs. It's a battle of philosophies. One side built on silence, image, and control. The other built on honesty, accessibility, and connection. Jay-Z presents himself as untouchable, above the noise. 50 Cent thrives in the noise, he amplifies it, uses it, and flips it into fuel. Diddy has always been the loud distraction. Jay-Z has always been the quiet operator. But 50, he's something else entirely. He's the disruptor. When Tony Yayo said 50's greatness comes from accessibility, he was really highlighting the core of who 50 is. He's the bridge between worlds, the streets and the boardroom, the underdog and the mogul, the fan and the superstar. And that bridge matters, because in an industry full of closed doors, 50 is one of the few still holding them open. So when you stack the legacies side by side, the contrast is striking. Jay-Z and Diddy may go down as billionaires who reshaped the industry, but their reputations will always be shadowed by whispers of exploitation and control. 50 Cent, on the other hand, will be remembered not just for the records he sold or the shows he created, but for the way he treated people on the way up and for the way he kept speaking out when everyone else stayed quiet in the end. Maybe that's the real measure of legacy. Not just how much money you make or how many awards you win, but how you use your power. Do you use it to build walls or to build bridges? Do you silence voices or amplify them? Do you protect yourself at all costs or do you risk it all to tell the truth? For 50 Cent, the answer has always been clear. His legacy isn't just in the hits or the deals or the millions. It's in the people. It's in the accessibility. It's in the fact that, while others built empires of silence, 50 built an empire of voices and then made sure those voices could be heard.
They signed his contract. The big one was with Beyonce. When he signed that contract, the marriage contract, he got trophies. Now those trophies, trophies came rolling in, buddy. He started getting Grammys left and right, man. I mean, look, if you look at his career, if you look at his career,
You're gonna let him say that? Jay was getting Grammys.
He had one. Exactly. He had one.
And he ain't show up.
He has like 20 now.
Hold on.
He had like 18 since he's been down. Look, he had one, bro. Hard Knock Life.
Hold on. You're not wrong.
He was one. After that, he got some shit. He's like drinking. His pictures with him. Thinks the cup.
Wait a minute. So you're saying the success is derived from the marriage?
Absolutely, he's been treated differently.
The accolades.
Because he's no longer viewed as what, like a street or gangster rapper. Now he's viewed as a businessman, entrepreneur, family man.
And the biggest ones because of the position Beyonce's.
Oh, wow.
50 Cent carries himself like a soldier who never forgot the struggle, while Jay-Z moves as though he's beyond reach, untouchable, insulated, and quick to use his influence to quiet rivals instead of facing them head-on. That, 50 argues, is the line between earning respect and breeding resentment. And then there's Beyoncé. According to 50, Jay's marriage wasn't about love, it was a power play. A contract that elevated both of their careers into an entirely new stratosphere. From that moment on, Jay's status shifted. Awards, Grammys, and cultural recognition flowed his way, not always as a reflection of artistry, but as symbols of influence. Even their children, 50 claims, were born into that aura of privilege, celebrated by the industry before they'd even stepped into music themselves. Jay often frames his story as one of necessity, forced to become both an artist and a businessman, because traditional doors wouldn't open. That's how Roc-A-Fella was born. But 50 paints a different picture. To him, Jay-Z has always been a businessman first and foremost, someone whose every move, whether in music, partnerships, or even marriage, was calculated for profit and power. Love, loyalty, culture, those were secondary. Money and legacy came first.
Association to Beyonce is when he started to receive the 16, 17 Grammys since he's been with Beyonce. Right? And you go, prior to that, 1.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that came in association, like you see their kids even have Grammys. Like they don't sing yet. They don't sing.
Right.
They don't rap yet. And they already have Grammys and shit. So it's like they give them this trophy so we secure that they're coming to the award show. It meant that much to the culture that they just gave them.
Why are you so on top of the business side of Jay-Z? You know what I'm saying? Some people like to just be an artist.
Yeah, I was actually forced to be an artist and a businessman because when I tried to get a deal, I couldn't get a deal, so I had to create Roc-A-Fella Records. We actually created Roc-A-Fella Records from nothing. And, so I was forced to know both sides of.
Behind the polished image, the story looks very different. What many call a contract marriage is the same reason Jay-Z's name has been shadowed for years by relentless cheating rumors.
Rihanna, the diva Rihanna. She's from Barbados?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, she's Bayesian. How did you come in contact with her? I mean, did you fly over there?
No, Jay Brown had actually bought me the song. She has a song right now, and it's I wouldn't say massive because of her roots, but she has this outrageous song called Pony Replay. And then he played that song for me, and I was scared. I was like, that song is too big for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, a new artist, when a song is that big, it's it's hard to come back from. And I don't sign songs, I sign artists.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Why don't you break down the difference between that? Because the viewing public might not understand that.
Some people chase the hot song for a minute.
Jay-Z worked hard to project the image of the perfect power couple alongside Beyonce, but behind the scenes, the story has always been messier. Allegations of infidelity have followed him for years. And some of the loudest whispers trace back to the earliest days of Rihanna's career. Fresh from Barbados as a teenager with nothing but her voice and a dream, Rihanna allegedly found herself in a 3 a.m. meeting inside Jay-Z's hotel suite with no team, no family, no protection. That meeting would lead to one of the most successful launches in music history, but the circumstances around it raised red flags then, and they still do today. And Jay-Z's controversies don't end with private scandals. He's also had serious brushes with the law. In December 1999, he made headlines for allegedly stabbing music executive Lance Rivera at the Kit Kat Club in New York. The fight reportedly stemmed from Roc-A-Fella drama over leaked music, and Rivera accused Jay-Z of being the attacker. Jay turned himself in and faced charges. A reminder that chaos has followed him long before he became a billionaire mogul. The cracks in his marriage with Beyoncé have also been impossible to ignore. He admitted to cheating as far back as 2007, and by 2014, rumors once again erupted. That same year, the infamous elevator fight shocked the world. Solange physically attacked Jay-Z after the Met Gala afterparty, while Beyoncé silently stood by. Too many. Her silence spoke louder than words, fueling speculation that she knew exactly what her husband had been up to. Behind the polished fairy tale, insiders insisted the marriage was never about love, it was about empire. With names like Rihanna, Rita Ora, and Rachel Roy linked to Jay. The relationship looked more like a billion-dollar partnership than a union built on trust. Even now, the rumors keep coming. Recently, Jay-Z's name surfaced in connection with Diddy. A shocking link given the disturbing allegations already surrounding Diddy. To critics, it all points to the same ugly truth. When the money is limitless and the power is unmatched, accountability disappears. The industry knows, but stays silent because speaking out against Jay-Z or Diddy could end careers. But 50 Cent isn't afraid. He's not tied to their money, not worried about being blackballed, and not interested in keeping quiet. On the Flagrant podcast, he openly accused Jay-Z of drugging women, adding that the silence from other rappers and executives wasn't about ignorance, it was complicity. If they weren't speaking, it was because they were involved. And when he sat down with Big Boy TV, 50 didn't pull punches either. He mocked Jay's carefully crafted image, joking, "Big homie want to look like a gay painter," a jab at Jay's new Basquiat-inspired look. It wasn't just about fashion, it was a shot at the way Jay-Z reshaped his persona to appear untouchable and artistic. Most in the industry would never dare to ridicule him like that, but 50 isn't most people. He speaks his mind, no matter the fallout, and he's not alone. Others, like Jaguar Wright, have been raising alarms about Jay-Z for years, painting a very different picture of the mogul than the one fans are used to seeing.
Jaguar has been warning us about Jay-Z. Jay-Z has now had an official lawsuit. It's everywhere. It's now being talked about louder than ever. I guess, does that give you some peace to know that people are finally really questioning this man?
It's emboldening me. I spoke on Piers Morgan. I said that I had 3 victims that I've been working with, victims of the Carters, that were ready to come forward. This might help them feel a little more confident now. So this is great because he's been evading. But the thing is, everyone in the backdrop knew that he was the celebrity John Doe. Everybody knew that. They knew it when I did Piers Morgan.
Is Beyonce celebrity B?
I hope to God not. But she was around. And she's very... she's got enough on her plate. After everything that happened with the election and everything that's happening right now, I'm not going to dump on that woman. She got better fish to fry.
Well,
what I will say is that her husband, she knows exactly who he is.
Yeah.
She knows. She knows.
Jaguar Wright isn't just another critic throwing accusations. She lived inside the same industry Jay-Z controls. She worked with him, saw how he moved, and claims to have witnessed the politics firsthand. Her most chilling account points back to Rihanna's earliest days. At just 14 years old, fresh from Barbados, she was flown into the US without parental supervision. Wright says Rihanna's first audition happened around 3 a.m. in Jay-Z's hotel suite alone. No protection, no team by her side. Soon after, she was left in a conference room at Def Jam headquarters for nearly 6 hours with Sean Carter. The deal that followed became the fastest signing in the label's history. Her father reportedly walking away with a $500,000 check. But the way it unfolded still sparks outrage. To Wright, this wasn't mentorship, it was manipulation, and it revealed just how dangerous Jay-Z could be when shielded by his power. And according to her, that shield has been in place for decades. The industry, she claims, has gone out of its way to protect him because he's too powerful to challenge. Silence doesn't mean people don't know the truth, it means they know exactly what happens when someone speaks out. 50 Cent has been the loudest voice echoing this warning. In his view, Jay-Z and Diddy are two sides of the same coin, both running empires built on exploitation, both pulling strings from the shadows. The only difference, Diddy is loud, reckless, and flashy. Jay is calculated, quiet, and long-term culture while staying just out of reach. This alleged pattern shows up everywhere in DJ's career. For decades, insiders have whispered that he blackballed artists who wouldn't fall in line. If he couldn't control you, he'd make sure you never got the shine. Beanie Sigel is one of the clearest examples. Once a loyal soldier for ROC-A-Fella, Beanie saw his career derailed when Jay allegedly timed his own albums to overshadow him. Instead of mentorship, he got sabotage. The message was clear: nobody eats unless Jay says so. From ROC-Fella to ROC Nation, artists have claimed they were shelved, ignored, or denied opportunities if they didn't play by his rules. Even collaborations weren't safe. Jay would allegedly block features, cancel shows, or redirect awards away from people he didn't want to see succeed. the Super Bowl controversy is perhaps the most public proof of those claims. When hip-hop finally got its halftime show moment, Jay-Z allegedly tried to keep 50 Cent off the stage entirely. It took Eminem stepping in personally demanding 50's inclusion for him to perform. Imagine that, one of rap's biggest stars nearly erased from the most watched music event on Earth. Not by accident, but by design. This is the contradiction at the core of Jay-Z's legacy. In public, he sells himself as the face of Black billionaire mogul who rose from nothing to inspire a generation. But behind the curtain, the story looks different. Blackballing power plays, and a trail of backroom deals that always seem to benefit him more than anyone else. And if his alleged solo moves weren't enough, there's the long-standing connection to Diddy. According to 50 Cent, the two have been working in parallel for decades, running the industry like a joint empire while presenting themselves as rivals. To the public, Jay is untouchable, but to those who've seen behind the curtain, he's something far darker, protected, powerful, and dangerous. Even his run-ins with the law paint that picture. Back in December 1999, Jay-Z turned himself in after being accused of stabbing music executive Lance Unrivera at New York's Kit Kat Club during a dispute over leaked tracks. His lawyer insisted he wasn't involved, but witnesses told another story, that they had seen a very different side of him that night, as 50 puts it. This is who Jay really is behind the image, not just a businessman, not just a mogul, but part of a shadow system moving in silence, pulling strings, and ensuring no one gets ahead unless he allows it.
Difficult to say, I'm going to talk about the problems in our marriage. I'm going to talk about how we almost lost things. And for her to say, I'm going to talk about my pain and anger at you. What were those conversations like?
Again, it didn't happen in that way. It happened, we were using our art almost like a therapy session, and we started making music together. Mm-hmm. And then the music she was making at that time was further along. So her album came out as opposed to the joint album that we were working on. Mm-hmm. We still have a lot of that music. And this is what it became. There was never a point where it was like, I'm making this album. I was there.
Right.
I was right there the entire time.
And what was her reaction to your work, and what was your reaction to hers? They must have caused
I think they were
pain
both
for each of you.
Diddy has always been the loud one, lavish parties, non-stop headlines, chaos that grabs attention. Jay-Z, by contrast, built his empire in the shadows, making quiet, calculated moves that shape the industry behind the curtain. Together, they've allegedly controlled who rises, who stalls, and who disappears altogether. Careers were shelved not because of lack of talent, but because two powerful men decided they weren't part of the plan. Jaguar Wright has long claimed Jay-Z isn't just calculated, he's protected by a machine too powerful to oppose. Add Diddy, and the picture darkens. One thrives in the spotlight, the other manipulates from the background, but both wield influence that silences everyone around them. And according to 50 Cent, that silence isn't ignorance, it's fear. The accusations go beyond career sabotage. A resurfaced lawsuit accuses both men of assaulting a 13-year-old girl at an MTV afterparty in 2000. Allegations Jay-Z has denied as heinous. Still, the claims revived questions about the unchecked power these moguls hold. For 50 Cent, fear doesn't apply. He's not tied to ROC Nation or under Diddy's wing, which is why he calls them out, not as leaders of black excellence, but as gatekeepers who hoarded opportunities while branding themselves as role models. Behind the jets and billion-dollar brands, 50 says, lies a trail of broken promises, shelved careers, and exploitation disguised as opportunity. Even Beyoncé's marriage is framed less as romance than empire building. That's why this feud hits differently. It isn't about music, it's about truth versus image. Jay-Z and Diddy use silence and power to control the story. 50 tears the mask off. And the real question becomes, if he's bold enough to say this much, what else does he know that others are too scared to admit?